Welcome to week 4. So we've talked around this a lot. We're gonna get really into it in this module. Data drives decisions in web writing. Always. I mean, that's not always. When I just post whatever I want to post, I'm not looking at the data, I'm not looking at the likes, I'm not really looking at who's seeing, and I'm sharing with very specific audiences. But when I'm posting as the English department, which is part of what you might study this week, then I am thinking about how am I attracting potential majors? How am I communicating with my current majors? How am I sharing information with some of their parents so they know that there are really good things going on campus that their kids can get involved in? And how does the data tell me that I'm reaching some of those audiences that I'm trying to reach? And how do I build a following so that I know that I have people who show up to my events and who are gaining from the events what they need, which is a sense of belonging and a sense of community. And so the data, and I know I'm making this really complicated, but the data is that complicated. When we take and we set aside branding, because we're not here to talk about branding and we're not here to talk about influencers, the goal with the accounts that we're going to look at this week and then are your choices, it's not about making money, it's about building community. And so you need to connect the data that you collect and the analysis of that data to discussions about community building and what does that mean and what does that look like and what are the indicators. This is where the web writing rhetorical situation helps us. What discourse is being used to build that community and how can we tell and how is it appearing in the data? What audience interaction, user experience, and information architecture is being built to facilitate or foster a very specific connection to the content or a connection to an event so that the discourse can then build community even more effectively. Like, what are the choices being made and how do those choices pan out in some of the data that we can see? Because we're looking for community building. We are not talking about money making. That's not this class. It's just not this class. That's not our focus. So when you look through the information this week, make sure that you take really strong notes. And then there is part 1 that is due this week. Start collecting data. You have to look at publicly viewable data. I'm going to say this a million times. You cannot track followers growing over time. You have a very short window for data collection. It's like an hour. You're not going to see followers grow significantly in an hour. You also don't have access to that level of analytics. It's not worth it. That is not our focus. We're looking at what is in the post and what is the data telling us, and then what can we do with that information? What questions can we ask? What analysis makes sense? And what conclusions can be drawn? If you have questions about the notes, send me a post on Tumblr, send me an email, come to office hours. If you have questions about the data collection, same, send me a note on Tumblr, send me an email, or come to office hours.